Question number 15. So if you're reading question number 15, you're going to notice we have a subordinating conjunction since. We have a subordinating conjunction. Since uncovering fragments of a 2,000-year-old reindeer training harness in northern Siberia. And there's another thing I want you to notice is that we have a modifier uncovering fragments. You have to ask yourself, who is or what is uncovering the fragments? So here we have a modifier, ing, comma, subject and verb. So who or what is uncovering? Is it researcher Robert Losley? That's the subject of the modifier. Is it researcher Robert Losley's argument? Is it the domestication? Or is it the argument, right? So it has to be logical. Only one thing can uncover in the situation, and it would be answer A. The other answer choices would cause a misplaced modifier error where the incorrect subject is being incorrectly modified. Question number 16. So if you guys read the sentence, you're going to identify this beginning phrase as an appositive phrase. It modifies. And so when you begin a sentence with an appositive phrase, in this case, it's called an introductory clause, a conceptual artist and designer embraced by both the art world and the fashion world, right? So here are our answers. When we begin a sentence with a dependent clause, it's also called an introductory clause. If you need more information, visit thetestadvantage.com. It needs to be followed by a comma. Dependent clauses cannot come before a colon. So for example, if you have a dependent colon, that's incorrect. For a colon to be correct, you have to have a complete idea beforehand. It doesn't necessarily have to be independent right before. It could be independent, comma, dependent, colon, for example. Well, you need a full idea beforehand. And same thing with a semicolon. You need a complete idea beforehand. You cannot just have a dependent idea all alone, right? So here we're going to say answer D. The comma separates the modifying appositive phrase, comma, subject and verb. Let me actually say it's an appositive, right? So answer D works best. Question number 17. We read the question and now we're basically asking ourselves which. This is a pronoun. What does it refer to? It refers to the Nerf football. So we know which, it basically means football, right? So if you look at the answer choices, you're going to find they focus on subject, verb, agreement, right? So the football were, are, were, all of these disagree with the pronoun which. Why? Because it's a pronoun for football. So here we're going to say answer D, which is a smaller form version. Question number 18. So this is actually a pretty tricky question. And why do I say this? Because of the subject and verb that might throw you guys all. Okay, what does that all mean? Okay, we read the paragraph and everything. Let's begin from this comma. The study of fungi, right? So we have a semicolon, a period, nothing, and a comma. A few notes, right? The semicolon is equal to the period on the digital SAT. So we can confidently say they cancel each other out. This is one way to solve this. Why do I say this? Because a semicolon and a period, they use two independent ideas. And so they're basically the same. There are very slight differences between them, but that's not something we're going to delve into. And it's not something the SAT delves into as well. So we're going to say answer A and B, they cancel each other out. Well, what's another way, or how is another way to see this? Because students will see the semicolon and the period and say, well, we have a subject and verb here, right? It looks like an independent idea. There is a subject and verb, there's someone, and there's an action. Remember, you can have subjects and verbs in the sentence, but what you need is it to be the main subject and the main verb of the sentence, meaning it needs to be the subject and verb of the independent clause. Again, you might be still confused. Well, if you reread the sentence, producing more than 350 paintings of the fungal species she observed in nature. This isn't an independent idea. This is actually an adjective clause. It is dependent and it is describing a noun. How do we know this? Well, it describes the species. It specifies the type of species that were observed. So because this is an adjective clause, it could have a subject and verb, it's still dependent. So it's not the main clause of the sentence. And this is also another reason why A and B would be incorrect, because after the semicolon period, we have a dependent clause. It's not independent. This is one way to see this, right? Or another way to see this. So this is two ways. So way number one, the semicolon and the period, they cancel each other out. Way number two is that there is no main clause in the sentence. You're left with answer C and D. Also, I want you to pay attention to something, which is there is a difference in C and D. They both can come correct punctuation-wise. However, meaning-wise, with regards to meaning, you have to be very careful. What do I mean by this? Well, if you told me answer C, what you're saying is the fungi is the one producing, right? Read it directly. The study of fungi producing. So you tell me it's the fungi that's producing. However, if you tell me answer D, the study of fungi, comma, producing more than 350 paintings. Right, the study of fungi, comma, right, here you go, let me put it right here. Producing more than 350 paintings. So we have a comma, ing, what you're doing is you're describing the subject of the sentence, or the whole sentence, but not the word beforehand. So be careful when you have no comma, ing modifier, and comma, ing modifier. And this is why answer D works best. Another small little tidbit I can tell you guys, usually if you have an independent idea, comma, ing, that's like 99% of the time correct structure. Question number 19. We have another modifier situation here, named in 1999 as one of the greatest achievements by US chemists in the past 100 years, comma. So the last two questions, we recognized ing modifiers. Well, this time we have a past participle modifier. I also call this an ed modifier. Ing modifiers, what's the difference between the two? An ing modifier is usually for people or like animals, something that's living. And ed modifiers are for inanimate objects, right? So here, what was named in 1999? What was named? Was Julian named in 1999 as the greatest achievement? Can Julian be the greatest achievement? Well, no, right? In 1935, Julian synthesized, again, we have a misplaced modifier. Was it Julian who was the greatest achievement? No. Again, here, named in 1999 as the greatest achievement, Julian's, look at the apostrophe S, what does it do? It moves the subject to the next noun. 1935 synthesis of the alkaloid physostigmine. So answer C. Was this named as the greatest achievement, the synthesis of alkaloid physostigmine? Yes. So here we do have a modifier plus subject agreement. It works very well. Now answer D wouldn't work, right? Because again, the alkaloid physostigmine is not a process. It's not an achievement. It's a product. So answer D would not work. Answer C works best. So those are three questions in a row, focusing on modifiers. Make sure you're able to recognize them